Did you know that there were actually three major shocks to the almighty US dollar in the last 100 years? And they were all devastating. And shock number four is coming up this year. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about what this means for your savings, your investments, and your privacy. All right, let's get started.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel, and I am your host, moderator, and all-around nice guy, Edward Anderson. Today, we're going to be talking about the US dollar, and we're going to be talking about the next major shock to the dollar that should be coming up this year. And we're going to be talking about why this is really important to your investments, your savings, and to your privacy. So in the past 100 years, there were three major shocks to the US financial system, particularly related to the US dollar. And right now, we're sitting on the precipice of a fourth shock to our system that is going to put your savings, your investments, and your privacy at risk. You have to know about this. So I hope that you stick around to the end of this video. And please, if you don't mind, give this video a like so that we can get this message out to the masses. You really need to know what's coming up. The dollar is in serious trouble. In fact, this year, the dollar is going to start becoming extinct. Okay, so the first date I want to remind you about is in 1907, when there was what was called the Panic of 1907. And it was a huge banking collapse, and many banks went out of business. And a lot of people lost a lot of money. They lost all of their savings, and these banks never came back. And it was actually this event in 1907 that kind of paved the way. It greased the skid, so to speak, for the Federal Reserve being created. And we all know the history of that, right? What a disaster that's turned out to be. Then in 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed an executive order that would make gold illegal. People had to turn in their gold. And so the government gathered up all this gold in the United States, and then they reset the value of the dollar versus the gold. And overnight, people lost more than 40% of their assets. 40% overnight. Hundreds of thousands of people were wiped out because of that. Franklin Delano Roosevelt wasn't the nice guy that history likes to paint him as. This was a devastating, man-made event, the consequences of which lasted for many years. So again, because of that one single event, overnight, the US dollar lost 40% of its value, 40% overnight. And the next major event will be very familiar to veterans of my channel because I talk about it so much. And that was August 15th of 1971, when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, paving the way for Congress to spend money without any restrictions whatsoever. And that is what eventually led us to today, where we have a $31 trillion deficit because our politicians have no discipline. And that takes us to the next pending crisis with the US dollar. And that is the introduction of CBDCs. CBDC is an acronym for Central Bank Digital Currency. If you don't know about CBDCs, if this is the first time you're hearing about them, please bone up on it. You have to learn about this. This is critical. This is going to have a direct effect on everybody's lives. And you have to know what the effect is going to be on your savings, your investments, and your privacy. Now, the nickname for CBDCs is the Fed coin. Now, most central banks around the world are going to create their own CBDC. In America, the nickname for ours is the Fed coin. So for purposes of simplicity, I'm just going to refer to it as the Fed coin, okay? The Fed coin is a CBDC. Now, the CBDC is supposed to be a digital dollar, right? This is going to be an earthquake type event. And this coin is due to be introduced in roughly July of this year, in the summer of 2023. Now, it's probably going to take a little bit of time for them to make the transition complete, but it's going to happen in a relatively short period of time. And they have little tricks up their sleeves to coerce you onto these digital coins instead of your dollars. In effect, they are going to be outlawing, US dollars. And no matter what they do, no matter what little clever mechanism they come up with, this is not going to be a smooth transition. It's going to be chaotic, and it's going to affect your dollars. Okay, so right now you're saying, well, what's the big deal, Ed? We're entering the modern world. This Fed coin they're just modernizing our currency. Well, no. Don't confuse this digital currency, the Fed coin, with something like a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a true cryptocurrency. As a matter of fact, it is the only actual true cryptocurrency in the world. So there are two big differences between Bitcoin and the Fedcoin. The first one is that Bitcoin is decentralized. Okay, there is no one central party, controlling all aspects of the coin. It's decentralized. No one person or entity can control it. Whereas the Fedcoin is going to be centralized. Bitcoin is decentralized, but the Fedcoin is going to be centralized, which means there is going to be a party in the middle there controlling the coin. The second big difference is Bitcoin is non-programmable. Okay, it's immutable, right? You can't change the coding on it. It's out there. It is what it is. The Fedcoin is programmable. This is probably the single most evil aspect of the Fedcoin, is that it is programmable. What that means is they can write code for a coin that will dictate what you can spend your money on, because they're going to see, because it's centralized, they're going to see what you're spending your money on. Every time you do a transaction on anything, the government is going to have a record of it. So if you are voting for a political party that they don't like, or if you're buying too many cheeseburgers and the government doesn't like it, they can turn your wallet off. They can restrict your access to your own money. They can tell you what you can spend your money on. So this is about control. And since they're going to know what you're spending your money on, you're going to have no more privacy. This is why the government hates fiat currency. They hate the physical dollar so much. Because if you have $100 in your wallet and you go to a garage sale and you use that to buy something, they have no idea that you spent your $100 on a little gizmo at a garage sale. They don't like that. They want to know exactly what you're spending every penny on, and they want to be able to control what you spend your money on. So the things you need to worry about here regarding this transition into the Fedcoin is the actual effects it's going to have on your savings, your investments, okay? Because this is going to be a rough transition. Things are going to be really dicey there for quite a while. This transition is not going to be smooth. More importantly, in my opinion, is this idea of privacy, the idea that they will be able to control what you spend your money on. First of all, they're going to see what you're spending your money on. I don't like that idea. And then they're going to be able to control what you can spend your money on. So what can you do about this? Well, at every opportunity, you want to resist the idea of getting onto the Fedcoin, okay? Whatever little schemes they come up with to coerce you onto a Fedcoin, you should resist it. Resist the temptation to get on. Now, we might not be able to. At some point, you might have to get onto this Fedcoin, but at every opportunity, you should resist it. Other things you can do is, number one, start extracting your money from your bank. Get your money out of your bank. Number two, put some of your money into gold and silver. Okay. And number three, establish streams of passive recurring income. And then you use that income, by the way, to buy more gold and silver. But at the very least, you have to get educated. You have to know what's going on here, because this is coming up fast. This Fedcoin didn't happen overnight. This has been in development now for years. And then, I think this summer is going to be the big reveal. It's going to be the big unveiling. And it will probably be a 1 or 3 year project to get everyone converted fully onto the Fedcoin, but it's coming. The government is making every effort to rob you of your freedoms. So again, reduce your exposure to your bank, put some of your money into gold and silver, and establish streams of passive recurring income. I've got programs that will help you with all three of those. If you want to reach out to me, my email will be in the description below. Could you give this video a like and maybe leave a comment below? Let me know what you think about this Fedcoin. Ed Anderson, live from Minnesota, signing out.
Copy that.